Okay, so the minimal harm is more satisfied by the subsidy than the tax because? Right, so basically, if you're a rational type, this doesn't affect you at all, right? If you are rationally obese, this doesn't affect you at all. It only affects people who choose to change their behavior, who presumably are irrational types who are moving towards optimality. Okay, that I would be inclined to think that the subsidy is we can say with greater confidence that the subsidy satisfies asymmetric paternalism, but I think that there's a good chance that the tax does as well in ways similar to what we were saying about the cigarette tax a few minutes ago. Okay, and the next question was going to be which of these policies do you think will be effective? Yeah, okay, we've got plenty of time. Let's do it. Which of these policies do you think will be effective, or more effective if you want, or if you think they'll both be effective, fine.
Can a subsidy ever not be effective, or not satisfy
Probably not. I mean, you got to take the taxpayer into consideration. That's the piece we're not talking about. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So you guys think the tax, mostly you think the tax will be effective more so than the subsidy. Why? Loss aversion. Hit him with a loss. Is that what you were going to say? All right. Who said the tax more than the subsidy? Why? I actually paid someone to make this sweater more tight-fitting, by the way. But I think you're actually arguing yourself into an A position. Is that what other people are hearing? I thought I said subsidy. No, you were right. I was wrong. Apparently, I was wrong. So who said subsidy? By now, anyone who said subsidy is like, oh, clearly I was wrong. Now, I haven't taught you all the psychology in the world. Do you guys know about crowding out of intrinsic motivation? There's quite a lot of research to suggest that if you give somebody a financial incentive to do something that they had an internal incentive to do anyway, you'll actually reduce their internal motivation, their intrinsic incentive, or intrinsic motivation. And that research actually shows that the way to really kill someone's intrinsic motivation is to penalize them, to give them a negative regulation. But there's another piece of behavioral economics we've learned that might incline you to give an answer of C. Of D. Neither. Who said D?
I don't necessarily think that the insurance premiums are effective enough to overcome their.
Why? So your name again is Philip. Says that people's premiums aren't effective enough. Don't sort of affect them enough to overcome their food and exercise. Why not?
Citizen, for instance, working his job to give higher payroll, but the cost of that is that you have to buy food out of it. All right, so you earn more money on that, which outweighs the money that saved on cooking for yourself.
Oh, so you're talking about sort of the premium on the one hand, but the money saved on eating less. Oh, interesting. I'm not able to think about that on the fly. Let's talk about that afterward. There's a behavioral economic component to this that I want to see if you guys caught on to. Yeah, right. So when do you typically eat? And in particular, whenever it happens to be now, right? Which is also when you have to exercise, if you happen to want to exercise. When do you pay your premium? Later. Once a year it's now, and guess what? I couldn't tell you when. It comes out of my paycheck once a month. I pay like $50, actually that's about $65, my contribution to my premium. Most days it's not now. And not only that, but there's so many things we haven't looked at, because behavioral economics goes on forever. There's all kinds of issues of salience, what people actually pay attention to, right? So it's like buried away in my pay stub that I never look at, right? And I basically budget my take-home pay. This is going before take-home, so I just don't even notice it. Though I would notice an increase in my premium one time per year, which is when you actually raised it. So it turns out that the correct answer is D. Neither of these things work well. I think that's right. I'm pretty sure that's right. Okay, so yes, we want to sort of bring all of these different behavioral insights to bear when we're thinking about what will or won't work. Okay. Do I want to do this? No, I don't. So we've already talked. I said here's a creative alternative: is that you self-impose a tax or subsidy, and we've actually already talked about this a little bit. The idea of a commitment contract, right? So you give someone a lump sum of money, and they give it back to you every time that you fulfill your commitment. So this was the what was it called? This was Stick.com, right? And another one. I really love. This is super cynical. You pay someone a penalty every time you fail, and they pay you a subsidy every time you succeed. But check out how this is done. Okay, so this is GymPact. I don't think I can get it. Can I? No, but no, I'm not going to go there. So here's how GymPact. Has anybody checked out GymPact? It's an app that you download, and it's very similar to Stick.com, except it goes like this. So you go on there and you say, I'm going to commit to the following goal. And every time I fail to meet the goal, I'm going to pay a penalty into this fund, just like with Stick.com. But if I do make my goal, the people who do make their goal earn the losses of the people who don't. Right? So it's a carrot and a stick. Yeah.
I really don't understand how they launch these things, because I feel like I would just lie. Like, if you want to go to the gym, but you're always not able to lie about it.
So remind me your name? I only know your first name, so I can't quite blast you. You wouldn't lie. I don't really answer that question. I mean, I'll tell you my opinion. So we're talking about this in terms of some behavioral economic theory. I happen to think that these kinds of devices, Stick.com and GymPact, are actually more about making the thing into a game. So I think the amount of money people put on the line is usually not what actually motivates them. It's like penny ante-gambling. It's fun because you put a little something on the line and the whole thing becomes an interesting game. That's what I actually think is going on. That's a different class. That's a class in behavior change that goes into gamification and all kinds of other stuff. But in terms of if we think of this as being, if we think about the part of this that's a commitment contract, then what's going on here with respect to sort of the dimension, the criteria of asymmetric paternalism? Which of these things do you think satisfies asymmetric? So Stick.com, we know, right? You pay in, you get essentially you pay in and you get back if you make your goal. Except it's the other way around. They take it away if you don't make your goal. But it's not affected by anybody else's goal or success or failure. All right, give you another 3, 2, one and last click. Very, very curious to see what you guys say. Interesting. So I want to poke into GymPact in particular. Who said that? Who feels that GymPact doesn't satisfy asymmetric paternalism? Alex. Yeah.
Yeah, because basically, like, you're something for every person that gets so it's not
In terms of money.
Yeah.
But some people are losing weight.
Yeah, but people aren't losing weight, or people aren't losing weight.
Okay. So
Also, you gain weight on the other side. If you go, you pay this money, people who are losing money are also probably gaining weight, or you say they don't say.
let's just assume that they're holding constant. I mean, unless you lose your money, you feel so bad, you just go on self-pity binge, which could be true. This is all from gambling. No, but I want to poke a little bit further in. You said some people this, some people that. Let's define types that we think might behave differently here. So, yeah, what are the different types of people? Right? We think that this is about beta delta preferences. So what are our types?
There are people who did go to gym, saw opportunity to earn some money, and so signed up. There are people who didn't go to gym, want some motivation to go, and then end up going. There are people who wanted motivation to go, signed up, and ended up losing money, and there are people who didn't sign up.
Okay, so what's all said was there are people who were going to go to the gym anyway, and they just saw a way to make some money. There are people who weren't going to go to the gym, and they got some motivation, and then they went. And there were some people who were thought that it would motivate them, and it failed. And then some people who just don't sign up at all. But there's a missing category. There's a missing category of people who might want to participate in GymPact who would not participate on Stick.com. Let's go back and think about the types, right? Way in the back. And, yeah, people who want to make money but don't, right? And we have a name for them. Those would be naives, right? So if I'm naive, I'm not going to bother with Stick.com because the best I can possibly hope for is to lose money. But with GymPact, if I'm naive, I go in there and I think to myself, I know there's a bunch of morons out there who will naively say that they're going to go to the gym and not. But since I'm not one of them, I'm going to go and make a killing off of those bozos. Okay? It's a sucker's game. That's my opinion. That's my guess. I mean, it could just be that this is all sophisticates, some of whom, for whatever reason, they set their goal wrong or something like that. My guess is that this is capturing the power of, hey, there's enough naives here for the sophisticates to actually make a benefit. Okay? It's actually get an additional subsidy. So I think it's a little bit dubious as to whether or not that satisfies asymmetric paternalism, because by and large, taking advantage of people's naivete is probably not making them better off. Yeah, paternalism, but if you go back and read those definitions of paternalism, they're not just referring to government. Anyone who has any power over anything. So this is just creating a paternalistic opportunity. I agree, it's a little bit of a fudge. But the idea is to get you to think in terms of existing theory that you've already learned, different types of people, how they'll be affected, and what their welfare benefits will be, or costs. Okay? If you want to make money, taking advantage of naive behavioral types, by the way, there are lots of opportunities, and none of them will actually get you into heaven. Yeah. But so the thing is here is that with GymPact, there's a choice you make. This is a voluntary commitment contract. So what you're thinking of with a cigarette tax would be more like where someone chooses to impose a tax on themselves. Now, if you go to Australia, there's a funny little law. Australia has a huge gambling problem. And have I told you this story? In Australia, there's a piece of public policy that I consider to be truly brilliant. The government maintains a database that you can voluntarily put your name on. And all casinos and gambling establishments are required to have this, it's like online, and they are required to have this database, and they can't let anybody in the door whose name is on the list. It's against the law to allow into a gambling establishment anybody who has voluntarily put their name on the no gambling list. Okay, so in my opinion, this is an absolutely brilliant form of voluntary commitment device. I mean, it's just shy of being able to commit yourself to an asylum. Which, by the way, you can do for 32 hours by walking up to any sheriff's deputy and saying, I want to kill myself. Sorry? What is the answer? I'm not sure there's one right answer. I would argue that I would argue myself that Stick.com does satisfy asymmetric paternalism because there's no reason for time-consistent or naive people to want to go on Stick.com at all. So if you're a sophisticate, it's entirely possible, even if you lose money, right, that it was worth it to you because you were paying for an incentive that got you to go to the gym and earn health benefits greater than the amount of money you lost. Right? That's the point of a commitment contract, is that you should be willing to pay more than the face value of the contract. Okay? Yeah, that's the way I was thinking about it. Okay, I'm going to skip this question about profitability. So here's the second. So this topic of soft paternalism, right, is divided into sort of asymmetric paternalism, which is the Camera et al. Regulation for conservatives, and then this concept that has actually gained quite a lot more publicity, which is libertarian paternalism. Okay. So now we've talked about paternalism. Now let's talk about libertarianism. These are definitions. Most of them I actually found definitions for libertarian rather than libertarianism. So here you go. Google definitions for libertarianism: extreme laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is French for let it be, I think. Political philosophy advocating only minimal state intervention in the lives of citizens, which is kind of opposite of paternalism, right? A paternalist is one who advocates maximizing individual rights and minimizing the role of the state. One who believes in free will. A believer in freedom of thought expression, etc. A believer in the doctrine of free will. A person who advocates liberty, especially with regard to thought or conduct. Okay, liberty, emphasizing a minimal role for the state, and an emphasis on freedom to choose, freedom to fail. When people talk about personal liberty, they're talking about the right to make your own choices. When people talk about personal responsibility, they're talking about the right to suffer the consequences of your choices. Okay? But we also we want to ask ourselves whether we care about freedom from. I'm now way out of my depth because we're now talking about like political philosophy about which I'm completely ignorant. But we can think about other kinds of freedom: freedom from obesity, freedom from one's own animal brain. The point of libertarianism is that it emphasizes freedom to choose, freedom to fail, freedom to do your own thing. Now along comes Dick Thaler and Cass Sunstein with this idea of libertarian paternalism. Now Dick Thaler is always trying to get in your face, and so this is an intentionally these are intentionally contradictory terms, very intentionally done. Right? I mean, if you look at the definitions of libertarianism and paternalism, they are diametrically opposed to one another. So the idea here is very similar but subtly different, importantly different. Good behavioral economics removes the paternalist from paternalism, just as before, but in this case nudges people to make better decisions without violating their liberty. Okay? So this is going to be paternalist in the sense of the mistakes hypothesis, but not in the sense of sort of being intrusive and controlling people and taking away their choices. It's going to be paternalistic, but only in ways that are libertarian in the sense of not restricting choice. Okay? And so what we're thinking about here are things that will nudge people. This is a term that Dick Thaler coined, that will nudge people without coercing them. Okay? That's the essence of libertarian paternalism, which you will find espoused in detail in a book by Thaler and Sunstein from 2008 called Nudge, which is on the syllabus. Some of you have heard of Nudge? They wrote a very short paper called Libertarian Paternalism, which is assigned reading. They state the mistakes hypothesis, I think, more clearly, and in some sense more dispensably. We emphasize the possibility that in some cases individuals make inferior choices that they would change if they had complete information, unlimited cognitive abilities, and no lack of willpower, that they themselves would change. The policy is paternalistic in their terms if it tries to influence choices in a way that will make the choosers better off as judged by themselves. That is the essence of the mistakes hypothesis. It's the best statement of it in either of these papers. Then they have what I call the no restriction hypothesis, right? Which is actually a stronger requirement than the minimal harm. Right? Asymmetric paternalism says that the harm to rational types has to be minimal. The no restriction hypothesis, here there are two quotes. We strive to design policies that maintain or increase freedom of choice. No coercion is involved. Okay? So this is an appeal to a different criterion for judging when something is harmful to rational types, or to anybody for that matter. Okay. Now I said that the asymmetric paternalist standard was rigorously based in traditional concepts of benefit-cost analysis, right? With the criterion being not that the net benefits should be greater than zero, but that they should be much greater than zero, and that the harms to the rational types should be small. What libertarian paternalism does, superficially it looks like, hey, if it doesn't restrict freedom of choice, if it doesn't involve coercion, then that can't possibly make anybody worse off. Okay? So that must pass benefit-cost analysis. What I'm going to show you next time is that it's not at all obvious that this no coercion or no restriction of choice requirement automatically results in positive net benefits or zero harm. So we'll see that next time.